In this tutorial, you will learn how to solve a Rubik's Cube, and I mean really solve it. We're not going to use any pre-memorized sequences of moves, like back inverse, front, left, right inverse. Oh look! Through magic, the entire white face has now been solved. No, instead we're going to learn some methods and principles that will help you understand how the cube works, and will allow you to create your own moves on the fly as they become necessary. A quick disclaimer. Solving the cube for real is much harder than simply memorizing a few sequences of moves. It's also much slower. Speed cubers can solve the cube in 20 seconds, and they don't even have time to think. They have to memorize their moves. This won't work for that. However, if you're looking for a good intellectual challenge, and you're looking to have a lot of fun, then there's nothing that's better than solving a Rubik's Cube for real. This is not a complete novice tutorial. I'm assuming that either you've solved the cube before using some other means and don't like memorizing moves, or at the very least that you can solve at least one layer on your own without me helping you out. The big problem with memorization is that anything you can memorize, you can also forget. I used to solve the cube through memorization, but if I went a week without doing it, I just forgot. It slipped my mind, and I would have to learn it all over again. And I didn't like that. Once you learn this method, once you learn how to solve it for real, you will never forget, and you will carry it with you the rest of your life. Anytime you see a cube, you'll be able to pick it up and solve it. Now, before you get started, let me, you have to forget probably a lot of things you already know about the cube. You're probably used to solving the cube layer by layer. You start with the white layer, and once you get that done, then you start worrying about the rest of the cube. This, it turns out, is actually a bad way to do it, at least if you're trying to solve it for real. The reason is, once you've got one layer done, there is nothing, I repeat, nothing you can do without destroying what you've already accomplished. If I do this, I've destroyed my white side. If I do this, I've destroyed my white side. I've destroyed it. I've destroyed it even more. I've destroyed it more. Every move I make destroys what I've already accomplished. This makes it very difficult, and this is one of the reasons why in lots of methods you have to memorize so many sequences of moves. The reason is that, you know, to swap this edge piece and that edge piece while leaving the entire layer intact is very difficult. You have to memorize, you know, a sequence of moves that might be 12 turns long just to do something like that. So, in the method I'm going to teach you, we're going to solve the cube in a way that may seem strange, but it turns out to be much more efficient, and I think you'll like it once you understand it. Last thing before we get started, I would like to give a few acknowledgments. The method I'm about to teach you is my own, but it's really just a combination of three other methods. I looked at Philip Marshall's method, Lars Petrus's method, and Ryan Heise's method, and I took the parts that I liked most from all three of their methods and put them together into what I find is the best way to solve a Rubik's Cube for me, and I'm going to share that with you. The Philip Marshall method, well, he has a great way of solving the cube using only two moves. One move swaps 3 edge pieces, and one move swaps 3 corner pieces. And using those two moves, you first solve all the edge pieces, and then you solve all the corner pieces. It's really quite remarkable and a very clever solution to the Rubik's Cube. The problem is it takes forever, and it's kind of boring and dull. But it's a good method to look at. Lars Petrus introduced me to the new way of thinking about the cube. You start by solving a small 2x2x2 mini cube and then expand on that, and that allows you greater freedom throughout your entire solving process and drastically reduces memorization. And then Ryan Heise, his website really explains in depth how to use commutators and conjugates to create your own sequences of moves to do basically whatever you want on the cube without memorizing a thing. Those are very important. So when you get to the end of my solution, you'll have to start using commutators and conjugates, and I recommend you go check out Ryan Heise's website. Okay, so let's get started. Go on to part 2, and we'll start solving the cube.